Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the BOCC statutory meeting. Today's date is Tuesday, August the 18th, and the time is 9:01 a.m. We will call this meeting to order. First up, we have Pastor Ken Wood from the Avenue Church to offer our invocation.
Thank you. Let's go ahead and pray if you'd like to join me. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the opportunity to gather as free men and women in this great country. And thank you for the exercise of that freedom that we are afforded. We pray that we would be good stewards of our freedom, make good decisions today. Lord, I just want to lift up this council, all the leaders here in our city who have been appointed and elected to serve our community. We pray that you would give them wisdom. We pray that you would give them discretion on how to use the very limited funds that we have available for the good of our citizens. Lord, we also pray for your favor, that you would open up new streams of revenue. So any grants or federal sources, Lord, we just pray for favor and abundance for our city, that all the necessary services and positions would be afforded. And so, God, we just want to ask again for your blessings on our firefighters, our police, our first responders. We pray that you would keep them safe as they put their lives on the line to serve and to protect and to respond to the emergency needs of our community, God. So we thank you for them. Thank you for their sacrifice. And we ask for your protection and your favor in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you. That'll bring us to our Pledge of Allegiance. Brendan, you want to lead us?
Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We will take attendance, beginning with Trish.
Trish Turner,
Brendan Hirsch.
Paula McPeters,
Zach Swearingen.
Miles Lucero, Robert Troy, CEO.
And thank you to everybody else in attendance. Are there any modifications to today's agenda?
There are none.
I will ask for a motion to approve today's agenda.
So moved.
I'll second.
In favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. That'll bring us into our public comment. I have one person listed, but as always, if somebody else wants to come up and speak, have at it. I got Bill.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I have come to express some feelings about this train proposal that we have coming and will be voted on in November.
Bill, can you just state your name for the record, please?
William Klinke, Klenke.
Thank you.
And first of all, I enjoy riding trains as much as anyone else. I've been retired for about 3 years, and I ride trains cross country to Washington and North Carolina. And I've ridden them on the West Coast up to Oregon and California. But I have some major concerns about this railroad that's being proposed. First of all, these summer trains have been running by the states in coordination with Amtrak, like being proposed here, and they require a lot of subsidies. Talk about New York, Illinois, Missouri, Oklahoma to Texas, Oklahoma City to Fort Worth. Typically, the typical subsidies require an extra $40 to $60 to put somebody's behind in that seat, besides the fare that they're paying. That would be a huge cost to the state of Colorado, whose budget is already pretty much tested at this point in time. They typically take that money from the Department of Transportation. And we all know how the roads are all going bad in Colorado. And we collect money for those roads through taxes on the gas that we paid. Further concerns is there's an initiative 175 that's been approved for the ballot already that would halt that practice of taking money from the Department of Transportation that's been allocated for that. So that could cause a lot more problems for trying to divert those funds towards a train. Another concern that I have, this one is more recent, is I've read where this body, the Pueblo County Commissioners, voted $38 million to build a train station here in Pueblo. That was done in April of 2025. However, under Senate Bill 172, that was passed by the legislature and signed by Polis on May 31st of 2026, has changed the operating and voting boundaries that will be voted on November for that train. Initially, when that was passed in 2022 or 2024, it included a lot of counties between Wyoming down to the New Mexico state line. That was changed in May of 2026 to only include cities between Fort Collins and Trinidad. And it also leaves out certain cities like Castle Rock, Monument, cities that would be deemed to vote no on this. So they cut down the potential voting numbers on this from 4 million people within those initial counties down to 2.5 million to try to massage this so that there would be more practicality to get a yes vote on this throughout that taxing area. What's a further concern is they blocked out the county of Pueblo and that it only considers the city of Pueblo now. And within that bill, it also states that you can't finance things over years, beyond a year. And yet you've done that, got in front of the skis to place that under your own will of the voting of 3 Pueblo County commissioners. And this bill requires a vote of the people. So approximately 60,000 of your own people in this county can no longer vote on
Thank you,
that.
Bill. Appreciate that. We just have a 3-minute time limit, but I'm happy to talk with you after on this a little bit more in detail. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else that would like to speak for public comment? Seeing none, that'll bring us into a special issue of public interest. And Abe, if you want to come up and speak.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Abe Armendariz, Operations Manager for the Parks and Rec Department. I have a little slideshow here that I want to go through. It's regarding the Pueblo County Rec Center and the land adjacent to it that is designated as a park. And we got a kind of a strategic investment opportunity and plan to move forward to develop that area with no general fund cost. So I just want to run through a little bit of this and see when we get to the end, we'll save for some questions. So the idea is to transform an underutilized area that's adjacent to the rec center. It's just to the east of the Pueblo County Rec Center out at 1650 Cooper Place. So it involves the previous Boys Ranch facility. Currently there's an underutilized and it was abandoned in place multi-use field as well as a running track. We have since added in a 1.1 mile walking track there. It currently has a sandlot baseball field there, but we're going to walk through some of the potentials for what we can do in that space. Again, an underutilized space, as you can see from the picture there, that's an overarching Google Earth view of the space I'm talking. In the upper left-hand quadrant is the rec center. The buildings to the south of that rec center are Health Solutions properties, so those are not Pueblo County assets. Currently abandoned in place, aging infrastructure there, limited programming capacity. It's a dirt field at the moment with improved gravel walking track on its perimeter. There is no irrigation actively connected there, as the irrigation was Health Solutions currently has the connection to the irrigation system there. So when the fence was built in the separation of the property, they kept the water, they turned it off. So we currently have, there's a residential at best irrigation system underground there, but it is defunct and very, very aged. What we're looking at here is, so as we get through this master plan, our master plan was dictated by the community, and a master plan that was approved in 2024 through the commissioners. Inside of that, it was designated through the community that these are some of the things that they wanted to see inside of their community. So we are not just knee-jerk shooting off the hip on some of these assets. These were designated and they are in our projected master plan. To kind of skip around here a little bit, currently we have Game Time has offered us a 100,000 grant for an inclusive playground on this site. We're looking to tie multiple funding sources from 1A as well as Conservation Trust Fund dollars to kind of come together. 2 funding sources, 1 site, and as well as utilize our county staff and equipment. So what we're projecting on working on in this project is creating a 45,000 square foot multi-use field that can be used for programming, soccer, youth sports, and additional programming coming out of the rec center that it's adjacent to. Currently, we do not have any sites that are deemed within Pueblo County Parks and Rec to offer those kind of programming, other than our MOU with District 70, which during school year can become difficult to navigate and program. So with our own designated asset with our field, we can offer lots of youth programming inside of that multi-use field. Inside of the Aspen Acres evacuation, we did add a backflow preventer to that site, which is just a point of connection to irrigation and just potable water. We did that to support the laundry and shower trailer for evacuees. The good news is it was all part of our master plan, and it was it is progressive, and it was necessary for the event, but now we have an asset that we can move forward to. So what we'd like to do is install a new irrigation system inside of that multi-use field and utilize our county staff and county assets to hydro seed that multi-use field. With oversight from our Pueblo County irrigation specialist, we're looking at potentially upwards of $100,000. Now that is just an estimate, and this section is already approved in our CTF list of funds. I just wanted to highlight this, as this is how our multiple funding sources are going into one asset. The phase 2 would be an inclusive playground. So the pictures are the actual assets that we're looking at. So we're looking at a 5 to 8 year old playground, as well as an 8 to 12 year old user playground, as well as some inclusive accessories that highlight around it. So the entire project investment is $524,000, but due to our grant award, we were awarded a grant through Game Time, which is a playground provider. They offered us a $101,000 grant to utilize potentially 1A funding at $423,000 to add in this inclusive playground. And this is turnkey. It would be building the playground, the borders, the playground mulch, as well as add 2 pavilions, a 20 by 20 and a 20 by 40 pavilion, which is in my next slide. What we're looking at is community gathering spaces with the potential for rentals, 20 by, which would bring in revenue, as well as have these pavilions for outside recreation opportunities and programming adjacent to the rec center. It's a 20 by 20 engineered and a 20 by 40, like I said, both on concrete pads that would establish community gatherings, events, rentals, celebrations, and like I said, our outdoor programming opportunities. So AI does really nice fancy things, and it's not 100% accurate, but I thought it was important to add into what the potential for this site may look like from a very, very, very pretty drawing. So again, adjacent to the rec center in walking distance, it's about 50 feet to our gate there. So it is right next door. It would kind of bring that one-stop shop as we have a recreation inside and recreation outside opportunities. Again, looking at that multi-use field, we're looking into potentially, we're trying to get some numbers on what it would be to bring the running track back to life. Currently, that funding has not been dedicated or assigned. But what it would be is that inclusive playground, the long 20 by 40 pavilion closer to the rec center, and the 20 by 20 pavilion being satellite a little bit farther out, that you would be on the opposite side of the playground. Phase 3, what we're looking at potentially with 1A funding also is that we dedicated in 1A funding a couple years ago to build the Parks Warehouse building. The Parks Warehouse building, we overgrew the yard significantly faster than anticipated. And we're kind of looking at adding an additional storage space with a 9-foot tall with 1-foot razor wire around with a cantilever gate that would promote storage of our emergency evacuation center trailer. Currently, our emergency evacuation center is in the operational yard of our complex. This would put it in a satellite location behind the building to where it's still accessible, but it's outside of day-to-day operations, as it is only pulled out in emergencies or when imminent disaster is pending. This would also be storage for our snowplows and winter equipment in the summer months, and large parks equipment assets such as our water truck, our large trailers that don't get utilized on a day-to-day basis. It would also be a great staging area for project materials and equipment as we move forward into some of these capital projects. We were also working hand in hand with CSU Extension to potentially store their cart trailer there, as they utilize that for emergencies as well. And it has a lot of these assets tend to be vandalized out in the places that they're at. So if we could put them in a secure yard in the central area, we're kind of looking to have a little bit more safety and centralized staging for some of the assets in Pueblo County. So that's kind of an outlining picture. As you can see in the picture, the white building is our newly added Parks Warehouse building with 3 offices inside of it, as well as our Park Storage building, which is the building on the left, a gray building. So this would be an extension of approximately 243 linear feet in that black crushed asphalt area. There's already a curb cut there to facilitate the entrance. So it would just be an addition to the already built structure. The lower picture is the current gate and fence, so it would be in kind and be identical and just add in security fencing. We're estimating that this would potentially cost somewhere around $30,000, and it would be installed through competitive bids. So again, the programming and community impact we can support youth sports, and the program within inside of Pueblo County that it would be a little more turnkey and more adaptable into the Pueblo County Rec Center. It can support adult recreation, special events, community festivals, outdoor education, health and wellness, family recreation, and again, expand our programming. So again, leveraging every dollar, working through grant funding, 1A funding, CTF, county capital, county staff and equipment to ultimately get to the point of a destination recreation campus inside of Pueblo County. So I guess to close this up, what I'd like to potentially and open up for questions is authorize staff to proceed with project implementation and the 1A funding designation that would be required to pursue some of these awesome things that I showed you today.
Awesome.
Any questions?
Thank you. I would just add that having been through the Aspen Acres fire, I got very familiar with your location, having visited all parts of it. And it was vital to our community to have that available. So thank you for all that hard work. And I completely understand your need to want to expand and modernize and provide more there. I guess my only caution is with our budget situation, we need to be very focused on what we can afford and what we can pay for now with the funds available. I'm a little hesitant to give a blanket approval for next year because we don't yet know where we're going to end up this year. And so I'm a little conservative in my estimates about what you can do. If you have CTF funding available this year, I would say that would be okay. We have a funding stream, but beyond that, I'm a little hesitant to just give a blanket approval because of that.
Commissioner. So Abe mentioned it, but he kind of didn't highlight it enough. The bulk of this, so the irrigation project would be CTF. We've already given that the green light. The 423,000 plus the 30,000, 423 for the playground and pavilions, plus the 30,000 for the gate. Those all qualify for 1A dollars, which we have to spend by the end of this year. So the money does exist, and this is not a hit to the general fund whatsoever.
Okay.
Yeah,
That
and
would
I'm
be
sorry,
my only
Commissioner, I should have highlighted that a little bit better. Yes, these are all dedicated and the site was established and,
Okay.
and designated as 1-day funding, approved,
Eligible, yeah.
eligible.
Mhm.
Thank you. So, this would be utilizing the CTF money from this year that's already approved, as
Thank
well
you.
as what remaining 1A funding that's left that is eligible at this site.
I
Yeah, it's
appreciate the clarification.
It's certainly in the scope of 1A approved projects. I mean, and I don't know. I mean, we've got some pretty lofty goals out there as far as future, and you tapped on some of it with the track and the field. One question is there a fence between, I didn't see it highlighted, but it may be there a fence between that 20 by 40 and the road?
Yes, there is. There's a split rail fence that's there and it's
Okay.
inside of our
Just
walking
split rail.
track. So there is a separation. That road actually dead ends into a secure campus of Health Solutions. So the road kind of just dead ends there into our parking lot. So there's not a lot of traffic there, and we would designate some kind of sidewalk marking as far as crosswalk into that park area.
Okay, thank you.
And as far as long-term maintenance, this is definitely inside of our wheelhouse. This would not be any expenditure as far as our maintenance per se, as far as mowing operations, as we designate a lot of time mowing the weeds and the current vegetation inside of that site. So this wouldn't really add any need for extending county staff as well as county assets. The only encumbrance that would come with this would be long-term would be fertilizer and the water cost and any maintenance associated with that irrigation system.
Do you have any projected costs associated with that?
Yeah, but recreation revenue absolutely could potentially
Cover that?
overshadow that cost.
Do
Yeah.
you have a projected approximate cost for additional maintenance?
I do not. I mean, fertilizer, we're probably, if I think of 26 pounds per 5,000.
So-
Realistically, ballpark, we're probably looking at $1,100 in fertilizer a year. As far as
And
the
then
water,
water.
I don't have the utility breakdown of what it would cost, but
Okay,
What about insurance costs for that?
it's covered.
it's all covered. Yeah. It's
No increase in that expense?
no.
Sir, I appreciate you putting this together and getting it
Definitely.
in front of us. It's a high priority for me for sure to make sure that these 1A dollars are spent on the things that they were dedicated for, but also in the timelines that they were intended. So I'm really excited about this. I think the rec center where it's sited, it's a great asset to the county. It's a great asset to the community. And the more we can grow it and promote it and get more kids and adults out there, I think the better for our recreation programs. So I'm fully supportive of this and ready to give the green light and so that you can make sure that it gets done by the end of the year.
There we go.
Yeah, I would, and we can individually talk to Mike about just making sure everything lines up. But yeah, I agree, we need to get it spent, and this is certainly in line with the approved uses of 1A.
Yeah, and Mike and I, this is previous planning of 8 months of planning and conversations with Mike regarding this.
Okay.
But absolutely.
Commissioner, we did have some pretty good conversations with Mr. Riccatone, and I think based on these projects, based on the Runyon dollars that we've committed for the end of the year, that still leaves us a pretty conservative cushion of about $800,000. So we may, in short order, be needing to make some decisions with those dollars, but I advised Abe to be very conservative with the projects that he proposed to make sure that we have that cushion, to make sure that the Budget and Finance Office agrees with the numbers. But conservatively, I think $800,000, even after these projects are greenlit,
After the 423 even.
and the 30.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, again, we have to use it or lose it to an
Yeah,
extent.
And I would love to exercise and continue to push the momentum as far as the running track and maybe some auxiliary landscaping. If those funds need to be dedicated and utilized, I'm sure that Parks and Rec can absolutely be a place to put some of that.
I forgot to mention that roughly $800,000 remainder does also include $40,000 for the fallen officer memorial, should we choose to go down that road with the $1A dollars.
Yeah, I think it's a very appropriate use. I mean, I'm good to move forward with it, utilizing those 1A dollars.
Thank you.
So next steps would be contracts, procurement, all of that stuff, and then we'll get,
Absolutely. I'll
Contracts
come
in front of
back
board.
and see you again soon.
Yeah, cool.
All right.
thank you, sir.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Okay, that'll bring us into our regular agenda, Mr. Hirsch.
Okay, our first item, 3A, is a resolution approving the agreement between Summit Logging LLC and Pueblo County for the Rye Mountain Park Forest Thinning and Fuels Reduction Project.
You didn't even need to sit down.
I had to flip my paper.
There you go.
All right, Commissioners. So this one is an approval of an agreement that is, and okay, Danny's online. Currently, this is just a follow-up and for the agreement with inside of Colorado State Forest Service in Pueblo County for the mitigation project in Rye Mountain Park that would mitigate approximately 60 acres of forest there. We did make it all the way through, so we are working with furworm state funding of $61,000 and then a match of congressional directed spending of $61,000. So this is just the approval of the contract that we submitted a few months ago. Does anybody have any questions on this one?
Just to be clear, sir, the combined grants that we're using to fund this are equal to this contract amount exactly?
Yes, we did have to make a maneuver as this was designated at $127,000 contract with $122,000 worth of funding. We are going to limit the scope from 64.2 acres to 60 acres to fall within side of that, to where it again is 0 county funds utilized. That this is all Colorado State Forest Service funding as well as congressional spending dollars.
Okay.
Thank you.
We are the pass-through on this. So we will be the fiscal agent and the reporting agent on it. And we have our team already designated and ready to go. So
Is there a timeline by which this work must be completed and those dollars spent?
June 2027. Realistically, it's talking with the vendor that has the contract that it's probably not going to be needed and will probably be completed by the end of this calendar year.
Okay. How quickly do you anticipate this work will commence once we get the contract signed?
Weeks.
I have.
If there's any questions, we also have Derek Sokolowski with Colorado State Forest Service on Zoom.
Hi, Derek. Thank you for your help.
Good morning, sir. Thank you for the support today, and thank you for the financial support. We certainly appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're super excited to get this going, especially with how close that fire got. And we're definitely going to make a concerted effort to connect some dots with private landowners and start getting some treatment on the private lands, using this as an example of the type of work that we need to get done in that area outside of Rye, as it is pretty hazardous that we saw with this most recent fire.
Yes, sir. Well said.
Thank you.
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
good.
have anything yet.
No questions for
Good.
me. Thank you.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. I'll ask for a motion to approve item 3A.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Thanks, Ed.
Okay, our next
Thank you.
item, 3B, is a resolution approving the 2026 election IGA between Pueblo County, Colorado on behalf of the Pueblo County Clerk and Recorder and the City of Pueblo.
Good morning, Commissioners. I know you're probably getting tired of these IGAs, but this is the one we have with the city to handle their election on their behalf. We have probably two more coming after this, I think Rye and Edison School District. So those are Rye Fire and Edison School District. Those are the last two I think we have in the works. But this is probably the biggest one of them with the city. And I think you know the drill, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
I don't really have any.
Nor do I.
think we
Standard
covered it.
stuff.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I will ask for a motion to approve item 3B.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Okay, your next item 3C is a resolution approving the agreement between MEI Total Elevator Solutions LLC and Pueblo County for elevator modernization at the Government Services Center.
Morning, Commissioners. Weston Burr, Staff Architect. Hard act to follow. Abe coming to you with a bunch of work and outside funding sources. Me being the facilities guy, I have to spend a lot of money and I don't have any outside funding sources. So this contract follows up with discussions we've had previously about the 3 elevators located at the Government Services Center that are continually failing as we move along with ownership of the building. The elevator 3, we had to shut down in the early part of 2024. And we've used parts from it to keep number 1 and number 2 running. And we're at the critical juncture where we're probably going to have to shut down one of those 2 to take parts from to keep 1 running. And then we're at a critical point where that elevator could start failing pretty regularly. So we have to get ahead of the game with MEI. They're having a price increase from one of their suppliers. So if you approve this contract, we can lock in that pricing. It still takes roughly 12 to 14 weeks to procure the equipment. And we're currently penciled in for late January, early February to start the work on the elevators themselves. I also wanted to note that when we did the due diligence study, we paid for an extensive study on the building when we purchased the building, and the elevators were not at that time identified as issues coming up. They were fine at the time and they have failed on us as we've gone along. So certainly something unexpected, but with operations in that building, like elections, pretty critical that we have elevators that are functional and reliable. I'll also note that because this project crosses the threshold for responsible contractor policy, that MEI will be in compliance and they are a union shop. Additional contracts will go along with this contract. So I will be bringing a design fee contract for electrical engineering soon. And then we are going to most likely procure services from Adams Electric and Olson Plumbing because they had done the work previously in that building and we're going to interface with systems that are still under warranty. So we still have like potentially 3 additional contracts, but not as big as this one, of course.
Thank you, Weston. You've highlighted a concern that we've had for a long, long time with owning a building that requires maintenance of this magnitude. Unfortunately, we're not in the position of not doing those things with tenants in the building and now our elections department. So it's continued to be a concern, not one that I think we can avoid when you have a functioning building. So thank you for the work that you've done to get this contract to us and the explanation of the contractor qualifications, as well as I noticed in the agreement that it's amount not to exceed 96,000. Am I looking at the right one? What's the total amount of the?
On this one, no, the total's 910,000 and change.
910. Okay.
Yes.
But that's going to completely replace the elevator that is failing.
All 3 of
All 3. And we currently have equipment for one of them.
That's what I was trying
So
to
we
get to.
we were starting this process with our previous service provider, Peak Elevator. They filed for bankruptcy. We had already expended half of that contract. So
I went up with a U-Haul and procured the equipment from their warehouse before they were red tagged.
So
And so we have that
technically-
sitting. So this is part of that.
This is part of that cost though, is that we have that other piece of equipment. Otherwise it would be.
Correct.
Okay,
Essentially, a modernization of elevators leaves the cab itself, but we're updating everything else.
insides.
Everything. Motors, cables, control systems, you name it, we're replacing it.
And what is the life of that replacement going to be? 10 years maybe?
No, I would say 20 to
20 to 30.
25.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
And non-proprietary control system as well, so it's easier for, we get a subsequent service provider, it's gonna be easier for them to interface with and keep it maintained.
Thank you.
Parts more readily available, et cetera.
In essence, they're new elevators. Or
Correct.
will be.
We've done a similar thing at the courthouse and a few of our other buildings.
Can you talk about how often now you're calling on MEI or some other service provider to do maintenance and keep those things running?
Some weeks it's daily. It could be both elevators or one or the other. They both have their glitches. I was over there the other day and it will leave one floor and then you just kind of hang out on, I don't know, I assume it's between third or fourth or fifth. And then you can usually call it and it'll continue to lower, but it just kind of like gives up. The systems are 50 years old. Old relays just sit there and click clack up in the penthouse. So the new system's solid state, computerized and everything.
All right, thank you.
I appreciate you very much, sir. And I want to say loud and clear that I very much appreciate all the hard work you've been doing on the property management side for that building. It may not be an appropriate conversation for this moment, but I think sooner or later, we want to have you back for a work session so you can kind of let everybody know it's not all doom and gloom over at that building. We have some really, really good tenants over there. We have some really good prospects.
Correct.
And things are turning a corner over there based on our conversations. That's how I would characterize it. So thank you. I know that's not, squarely in your job description, but you've been doing a great job and we certainly appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate that. When we first had that building, we took it over, it was roughly 15% occupied. I would say right now we're sitting at about 65%. And with these prospects we've been discussing internally, I think we'll be closer to 80 or 85, if not higher.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
That
yes,
we need
definitely.
tenants in that building and we need the cost of maintaining it to be met by that rent that we collect. One question for you that's not related to elevators, but in getting new tenants, are we being asked to do any remodeling or can we get people in there without that?
It varies. We have one potential one that would ideally like to move in well, it would be mid next month. But it would be simple carpet, paint, ceiling tiles. Carpet we would contract because we can do it under a different contract process. We did a similar thing for the sheriff's office HR. So it's very fast, cost effective, not something at that scale. It's not something our staff could handle. We could certainly handle the lights, the ceiling, the paint, but it's a nonprofit. So a lot of those, we would have to be looking at fronting some of the work and then we could build it into their future rent. And then some tenants are willing to just come in and take the space. Carpet's good, everything, layout's good. But even if they want to put a coat of paint on, they're certainly welcome. But
Right.
so there's a mix,
We just want to be as cost neutral as possible.
of course.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would just echo Miles's thanks and thanks to everybody who's worked on that, all facilities staff, previous people that were there, because we're trying to make the best of that situation and to see that increase in occupancy is a light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. So we appreciate it.
And some of the occupancy is actually county. We're looking
Right.
at county divisions that would move over there as well. So not
Right.
just rent payers, but our people.
Yeah, I think it's just in line with the entire agenda of this board to consolidate services and to try and make best use of the properties that we have and offload the ones that we don't
Certainly.
or that we don't need. So
We appreciate your support.
elevators are always bothersome anytime you have them. And it's frustrating to see any any building I have a completely different viewpoint on elevators as a whole, after sitting in this role.
When you get stuck in one, it's a whole different view as well. So we don't want that either.
No,
So thank you, Weston.
yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Weston. Appreciate it.
Thanks, sir.
Get back to where we were.
3C, Commissioner.
Yeah, I'm having technical difficulties up here. I will ask for a motion to approve item 3C.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, motion passes.
Next item, 3D, is a resolution approving the master services agreement between E. Bailey Advisory LLC and Pueblo County, Colorado to provide government advisory services consulting. We have our CEO here to present.
Chair, Commissioners, thank you. We have a presentation that's going to be loaded up here. So I wanted to take the opportunity to give a snapshot of key areas of our county's finances, as well as ask for some help through this MSA. Next slide, please. So cash, debt, and reserves for the county at the end of 2025. Debt service on the certificate of participation adds about $1.5 million a year in the early years, and about 2.2 million for most of their terms. $7 million in retainers is still owed to the jail project. And the county, as the commissioners know, has no adopted reserve policy. And the guidance from the Government Finance Officers Association is about 2 months of operating revenues, and the county has gone roughly 15 years without building reserved fund balance. Next slide. As part of the prior year Workday implementation in January 2025, the county converted financial systems and their data, and access to the prior system was lost. Spending went in with certain tags in certain areas, without tags in certain areas. The system itself was paid for in prior years with American Rescue Plan funds, but it is now a recurring cost the county carries. Project reconciliation is underway, and until revenue data integration is with the treasurer's offices completed, producing 2026 revenue figures takes additional manual work. Next slide. So the financial management practices that this board has inherited are as follows. Roughly 70 employees can enter invoices without coordination. Capital budgeting multi-year has lapsed, so needs are sometimes met mid-year without specific planning. Grants run department by department with no central inventory, and position budgets are sustained with vacancies and not enough planning. And the finance office, with about 8 people, ran with the controller seat open for nearly a year. Next slide. So what needs to occur? The left column is the 2025 is items underway or in preparation, the 2025 close and audit, the formal 2026 budget amendment, and the certificate of participation, as well as the treasurer data integration. The right column is the structure the county needs, so we don't end up back on slide 2 in terms of the reserve. A reserve policy for this board to adopt, which is coming forthwith. More detailed monthly financial reporting so you can see the condition of funds and budget to actuals more on demand, and multi-year capital planning that looks past just 1 year. What needs to also happen is centralize accounts payable and grant administration so we can have better visibility into those revenue streams, and position budgets built to expected staffing, as well as a framework for the 2027 budget cycle. Next slide. So we ask that you engage E. Bailey to help build back the county's financial strength after years of flat reserves, and to support a 2027 budget that looks farther ahead, and to remediate the data conversion problems that resulted from the Workday conversion. E. Bailey is a firm that's uniquely qualified. It has an established government advisory practice in Colorado. It is staffed by former government finance officers, And I have spoken to Rio Blanco and Mesa counties who have worked with Eid Bailey and who praise their expertise. Eid Bailey also has particular workday and adaptive planning experts on their team, and those are the systems we will build the 2027 budget in. And what much of what this board has inherited demands all hands on deck, county staff, this firm, our audit partners, and the board to turn the ship to a North Star of a stronger financial position and best practice financial management. So I recommend that you approve the engagement, and I'm glad to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Robert. And thank you for all your work on this. I thank you, Trish. Thank you to our entire C-suite and staff that have kind of recognized this and started to turn the massive ship, as you alluded to, towards much more of a responsible operating budget. And we can't do a whole bunch about the past. All we can do is kind of try and steer it towards a more a better spot financially. And yeah, I mean, I agree with everything that you had presented in that and conversations that we've had to try and straighten this thing out. This is, quite frankly, as anybody who's been paying attention, we've been readjusting the entire county and its operations and staffing and everything to make us much more sustainable for the future. And I think this is a very good step in the right direction. I've never had issues of going outside and trying to get specific help on things. And then when that help is not needed, you no longer have to have those contract services. So we've seen oftentimes in the past that versus that positions can be created internally, and then either the problem goes away or funding runs out and those continue to stay on board, which is a problem that this organization has had historically. So I very much appreciate this.
Yes, thank you. I remain very concerned about our budget position. I think you've highlighted many of the areas that I've been looking at this last year. The one thing I wanted to just bring up, in April of this last year, I proposed a revision to our reserve policy. There was some discussion about it. I think we need to finalize that reserve policy, but I did bring it up that we had an aspirational one that said we would, quote, save money, but it didn't specify how much. My initial reserve policy, I asked for savings of 10% of operating budget a year, which I know was a stretch. But there's been a culture of spending here that goes on decades. And I think that's the most frustrating part for me to see, is that there's been no effort to save beyond the Tabor requirement. And without an ability to say, I come from that culture of you save a little, you spend a little, you give a little. The county is erred on spending and giving and no saving, which has put us in the position now of making really hard decisions for this county that will affect operations and potentially the services we are able to provide. And so we need to make these small steps now to make the bigger decisions that are probably going to be a little painful later. So I'd like to forward that initial reserve policy I proposed in April and have you take a look at it and revise it. But we need to pass one. That's been on my radar for a while. Changing the culture from not just this board to the next, that we don't spend without knowing we have the money and where it's coming from. And making sure the public knows that is a very important practice. We have inherited lots of things we didn't plan on inheriting. And so now we have to be good stewards of what we cannot get rid of. What we can dissolve of, we will try, and what we need to maintain, we need to do. So that's a lot on our plate. But having help is key. And I've seen that in the last year with our finance area. They're overwhelmed with work and not enough expertise in certain areas, and we cannot afford to not get the help. So I appreciate you finding this vendor, and I hope that in the future discussions that they can isolate and identify areas of help that will provide the county with that, what I would call a path forward of practices and policies that we need to follow. I think we lack that severely. SOPs in the finance area, it's very important to leave guidance for how we spend money. And that doesn't just reflect on this board, it reflects on every department and every person who works here, of knowing where those dollars come from. They come from the taxpayer, and they need to go to what the taxpayer is paying them for. And it's our job to make sure we steward them the right way. So thank you for the extra work and effort. I don't think it's something we can avoid. We need the help. We need it quickly, and we need to start planning for 2027 immediately. That's going to be a big decision year for us as well. So thank you.
Thank you.
It's well said, ma'am. I'll just add to the point of not spending money that's not budgeted for. I want to thank the county attorney's office and your cost center for giving up some of those contract services dollars that we can now dedicate to the budget and finance office for this contract. Mr. Choi, can you detail, please, some of the specifics of what Eid Bailey will be delivering, and what are the deadlines, and, you know, some of the more specific terms in this contract that are pertinent for the public awareness and the organizational awareness?
Absolutely. I think aligned with their expertise, the first thing that they're going to be working on is remediating our data from the conversion to Workday. We've lost a lot of that data in terms of its structure, and they're going to be working on reviving that data, cleaning it up, and making sure it's viable for the 2027 budget discussions. They have particular expertise in that. They will also be working with members of different finance departments across the county to get an accurate sense of a baseline for the 2027 budget that's realistic and that's conservative, given the position of county finances overall. They are aware that there are statutory deadlines that we need to meet as far as the budget. So they will be working very closely with the CFO and other members of the C-suite to ensure that our baselines are not overstretched. And to Commissioner McFeeder's point, they will help us change the culture of spending across the county by giving us a pragmatic recommendation for the 2027 budget that is based on prior years. And we are hoping that they will be able to get us back to a better situation when it comes to financial reporting. In 2023, the county was awarded the GFOA an award for its reporting, financial reporting, and we want to get back to that because I think that we've dropped the ball a little bit on our financial reporting and the state of it. So they're going to help us revive that, and they're also going to set a course for better financial management practices for 2027 and beyond, including with multi-year capital budgeting and capital planning. They're going to take a look at that. We don't have finances to invest in a lot of capital planning, but we do have the opportunity to set up that structure for the future to make sure that we're looking at the taxpayers' money as investments and that we're stewarding them properly against an infrastructure that's going to withstand elections or other changes or emergencies like the Aspen Acres fire. So I think on all three of those points, they will be essential with their expertise and knowledge of public accounting and government finance to bring us ahead into the future in a stronger position.
Thank you, sir. I'm certainly excited to have an outside set of eyes come in and kind of give us their recommendations. They've got, as you mentioned, experience working with other counties. You know, I look at a lot of other counties' budget documents and compare it to ours. And I think while ours is good and very detailed, you know, there may be some suggestions on changing the format. How do we report the budget? What are we statutorily required to report? And what are we, you know, where are we exposing ourselves maybe with a little bit too much detail? So all of those things will be part of the conversation. And I think this is kind of a moment of heads up to the organization that this budget cycle will look substantially different. And that's because, well, specifically, we have a third party coming in to help us through the 27 budget. But also this board made a promise when we were dealing with the 26 budget that we were not going to get behind the 8 ball again. So that is, you know, for me, that's the biggest driver behind this decision to bring on the outside help for the 27 budget, is because we simply cannot be sitting here in October and November wondering what the 27 budget is going to look like. So this is a huge relief off of my mind. I appreciate you putting it together. Mr. McBrain, thank you for all the hard work you're doing on the various things you inherited. We certainly appreciate it, and it will be good to get these folks in the door as soon as next week.
Yes.
Okay.
And just a quick question on the not to exceed amount on this, it's 96,000, not to exceed 96. What if in the course of analyzing all the things they need to do, they cannot meet that if they need more money? Will that be something you foresee? Or are they very confident that that amount is what they can do?
I've had significant conversations with Eide Bailey and the partner there to ensure that the work that is scoped for will fit into the 96,000. However, if they do find that additional work is needed, they're going to consult with us, and
Okay.
we're going to have to approve any new funds beyond that. But I worked with staff to make sure that they have an accurate picture of the county's finances so that they're not surprised by anything, and they understand the quality and the state of our data. They understand that financial management practices have been uncoordinated, to say the least, across the county. So they have a realistic picture of what to expect, and they shouldn't be surprised by anything. So we expect them to work within that amount. But if there's something completely by surprise that catches us completely by surprise, they will work with us to let us know if there's a need to exceed that amount.
One question, in talking about this, Workday's been mentioned. They actually have someone that knows that system
Correct.
that can help us. That's going to be huge.
Yes. I
Thank
agree.
you.
Thank you very much. Craig, did you want to say a word or two?
Uh, I don't have a lot to add to what Robert's already put out there. So I had a couple of commitments this morning and wasn't available to be here, but I did watch, and I just want to thank you all for supporting this. Robert, for helping organize it. It is absolutely overwhelming at times, the position that, we found ourselves in. So just, I came down to, as I had time to make sure you understood how important it is to me. And I know that I appreciate it, see your efforts, Robert's efforts, and very much welcome this assistance, and really don't know outside of options like this what we might do. I mean, I think we could end with we'd get through the budget cycle, but it would be difficult, strained. This will help so much of address so much of the issues that we saw last year through that budget cycle. Again, all of staff very new to it. It was difficult to say the least. So thank you all.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, we've all had these conversations of needing help. And this, I think, sets us again on a path towards not scrambling, not having all these amendments, not kind of just, oh no, the budget's crept up on us again. I mean, this is something that, I mean, we know it happens every year. And these are things to move us in that direction. So we certainly appreciate all the efforts that have been given towards this. I will ask for a motion to approve item 3D.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
Okay, our next items, 4A through 4M, are a list of abatements before you for action. The total abated value is $1,271,290, and the total abated taxes is in the amount of $116,514.54.
I saw Frank in here
Ran
earlier,
away
but
right
he
at
took
the-
off.
Right at the key moment.
I know.
That's all right. I don't really have, I was going to ask him some high level questions, but I think I'm okay with these.
Agree.
My only question was going to relate to if the variances are related to equipment at those locations or if it's actually the parcel value. Because if you look at the country club, Pueblo Golf and Country Club, there's several of them that kind of, I don't know what caused the variances there, but I'm thinking maybe the equipment values. I don't know.
Like golf carts.
I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
We can wait and have him come back in if you'd like.
Total abated taxes is 116,514.
Correct.
I don't know that we need to wait for him to come back in. It's just
I'm
observation.
not concerned either.
I will ask for a motion to approve item 4.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye, motion passes. That'll bring us into commissioner comments.
I'll jump in.
Yeah, go for it.
Sure. First and foremost, I wanted to extend my heartfelt condolences to Beulah yet again. A gentleman, Mr. Humphreys, who I did not know personally, but based on all accounts that I've seen, kind of a pillar of the Beulah community. A lot of folks knew him. And so this was just another kind of heartbreaking moment in what has been a heartbreaking couple of months for that community. So I just want to mention that, we, continue to assure folks that the wheels are grinding away. Pine Drive Water District has water now. That's a big step forward. We are anticipating that the recommendations from the USDA in regard to their water protection infrastructure projects, that those will come through here in the next couple days. That'll be a really nice, report to deliver out and kind of a project for us at the county to start tackling projects we can do basically immediately. So a lot of our staff is, ready to go and pull the trigger on those projects. So not too many fire updates. I did also want to mention, we have a meeting with the Pueblo West Metro Board tonight, a joint meeting, primarily to discuss the IGA that exists between the county and Pueblo West Metro regarding road maintenance and repair. And so that should be a really robust conversation. I'm sure we'll, have a little bit of disagreement, but hopefully we can find some common ground. And thank you to all the staff that have been preparing data, getting reports ready. I think it's been extremely helpful to kind of conglomerate, what was it, 2023 when we took over. So, 3 years of history and data. And I think we have a really, really sound foundation to build a conversation tonight. So thank you, Mr. Choi, and the rest of the folks that helped out with that. I think that's it for me today. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Well said. I want to just dovetail a few, you've kind of mentioned a few of the things I was going to talk about. But in regards to Beulah, the hits keep coming. I don't know what else to say. Sunday night, when we got word of the loss of an individual so valued by that community, you cannot, how do you relate a life to loss of property? There's no relation there. That just hit a different level of loss for the community. And so I send my condolences as well. I want the Beulah community to know this board is committed to looking everywhere we can to find help and support. I was there Tuesday night with Josh and our staff to discuss flooding and the potential flooding. A week ago tonight, we were there talking about that. And here we are a week later facing the reality of a weekend full of it. And while we want to help and support, I also want to clarify the expectation level that whether it's Pueblo County, state, or federal, there isn't enough government dollars to help everybody. I hate to say it like that, but the reality is whatever we can do will not be enough to help every single individual. It's going to take the community, it's going to take resources and volunteers and help. And I want to set the expectation that government in this situation can't answer all of those questions. We will try to do the best we can. But as I've walked through this, I realize how helpless it feels when you cannot speedily get the resources, you can't get enough resources. So I'm really asking the Pueblo County community to continue to be engaged in this effort in terms of volunteering and helping in Beulah. They need help with sandbags. They need help with, if you have a tractor you want to bring up there and help mitigate some of the road damage, any of that is helpful. I've also been asked to look at the Army Corps of Engineers as a potential help. I have been in touch with our congressman. I know each of you have been involved at the federal level. We're doing everything we can do. And at the same time, I want to set expectations that it may not meet all of the needs that are there. So it's going to take a community effort. And I just want to say to the Beulah community, we're so sorry that this has happened to you at this level. We've never been through a tragedy of this magnitude. In my lifetime, I've never confronted anything like this. And so for those of us that have been walking through it, the maze of government agencies and the things we need to do, it's been a learning experience with a lot of heartbreak, and we'll continue to do that work. In regard to the meeting tonight, I want to thank you, commissioners, for agreeing to that. This meeting tonight with Pueblo West Metro regarding the roads really started with a letter they put out back in May. And in response to the letter, rather than sending a letter back, I asked if we could have a meeting, because I always feel like it's better to just meet than send an email back and forth or send reports pointing fingers back and forth. So back in May of last year, when we received their report, I got a hold of Christian Heine at the Pueblo West Metro, and I said, let's plan a joint meeting where we can discuss this, because there isn't enough information I can give you in a letter response. We need to talk about it. And so we set a meeting for July 9th, which was the week of the fire, the week after the fire. We were not in a position at that time to have that meeting, and so we had to cancel that meeting. I don't regret doing that because our attention was fully focused on firefighting and that effort with Aspen Acres. And then we rescheduled the meeting for tonight. So I just wanted to point that out. It wasn't a recommendation of the Pueblo West Metro. It was my recommendation to have the meeting. I think anytime you have issues of concern, it's always better to meet together, talk about it. And as you said, Commissioner, we may not agree on every single point, but we're here to work together. And I feel like it's a great opportunity for our boards to work collaboratively in a public way, putting all the information out and just talking about it. And there's no harm in talking. That's where answers and solutions come. And I appreciate the Pueblo West Metro Board. I've worked with them on many issues, including Pueblo West Desert Hot Golf Course, which we have a meeting of that tomorrow. So we're very familiar with them. I hope tonight's meeting is productive for them as well as the public. I know our roads crew is busy working in Pueblo West and has provided a lot of data to show the value of the work that we've done since we entered into that IGA in 2023. Again, not when I was here, but it's something that as a commissioner, it is part of my responsibility to make sure we do and do well. So we'll continue that work, but I just wanted to throw that out to you. It's a nice opportunity for the public to join in and see the meeting that we're going to discuss tonight. It's not designed for public comment. It's designed for us to talk about the IGA and all the concerns. And so you can certainly watch and be educated, and I'm sure we'll learn from each other. But it's a great opportunity for us to get together, and I'm glad that they're willing to come to our house and have that moment at 5 o'clock tonight. We'll be ready to go. And I want to thank you, Mr. Choi, for all of your assistance and help, as well as you, Attorney Hirsch, for all of the work that you've done to get us ready for that IGA discussion. It's important to me because as a county commissioner who lives in Pueblo West, I've gotten lots of calls about the roads. I've spent the last year of my life learning about roads, learning about road quality. I want to thank Greg George for educating me on PCI scores and all of that good stuff. I've learned more about roads because I get more calls and more questions about them. And it's really been an impactful thing for me as a county commissioner living in Pueblo West to be part of that discussion as not just a county commissioner, but as a resident, because I have my own feelings about it. So look forward to that tonight. Thank you.
Thank you both. Yeah. Touched on some of the things that we all are thinking and speaking about. And again, just want to offer our thoughts and prayers to Mr. Humphreys and his family. And even speaking with the sheriff this morning about it, he was a pillar of the community. You know, it was very involved in everything that goes on up there. So again, just want to offer our condolences to his family and the Beulah community as a whole. The natural disasters can be very obviously devastating and can react in ways very quickly that you that you can't foresee. So just everybody, please be careful out there. We've had a lot of rain. When these things happen, please keep in mind your safety and the safety of others, and lend a helping hand, and say things to people. If you see something, say something. I've always believed in the power of community and for us to take care of ourselves. But what a another massive hit to their community. And yeah, loss of property, very difficult, but loss of life is something even worse. And you know, he was a veteran, and again a pillar of the community. So again, we offer our heartfelt condolences. In regards to the fire as well, I just wanted to say, I think I said something about it week before last, but I just want to thank again the Aspen Acres Fire Fund and Grandview Baptist Church for being able to give us some money for like those demo permit fees, and to try and help people out who cannot afford those, or insurance isn't covering that. So want to thank them again specifically. And then just want to say real quickly that, you know, it's another sad deal with Mission Foods closing. I don't know if people saw that, but that's a loss of 90 positions. And so we, again, need to consistently think about how we draw business here, how we bring good paying jobs to this community. And that's not something that we like to see by any way, shape, or form. So hopefully, I know that people are working with those affected employees and what their future plans are, but hopefully sometime soon we can start bringing more jobs here than seeing them go away, because as we all know, that is what keeps everything afloat is industry being here. So thank you all, and then we will be back here again this evening for the Pueblo West Roads meeting, and our next meeting will be August 20th, and I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned.